Welcome to the Trap House Podcast. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe on all social media platforms. And now a quick word about our sponsors. We have Duke Traps with us. Check out duketraps.com. They manufacture over 40 different models of cage traps, coil and long springs, and body gripping style traps, as well as one of my personal favorites, the powder-coated dog proofs. Check out duketraps.com. Need a place to sell your fur? Check out Groenwald Fur and Wool Company. Over 50 years in the fur business, the largest and most experienced direct receiver of wild fur in the world. Check out their website, gfwco.com. Top Lot Stretcher Company. They have all the fur processing tools you need to get the job done in the fur shed. From push pins to wooden stretchers, they got you covered. Check out toplotstretcherco.com. And this one's for the ladies that don't mind getting their hands a little dirty setting some traps. We have Trapping Girl Inc. with us. Check out their website, trappinggirlinc.com. They have a great selection of women's apparel, kids apparel, baits and lures, and trapping supplies. Check out trappinggirlinc.com. J3 Outdoors. They make American trapping products designed for maximum trapline efficiency with products like the Hags Bracket and Spring Clip, as well as the Universal Lock and Beaver Rod ends. Get the tools you need to get the job done. Find out more at j3o.com. And there's only one true way to start out the day on the trap line, and that's with a hot cup of coffee from Trapline Coffee. They have great tasting blends to choose from, as well as chocolates. Head over to traplinecoffee.com for more. Weeby Knives. Check out weebyknives.com. They have a great selection of skinning knives, fleshing knives, fur handling tools, and they'll give you the edge you need to get the job done, and you guessed it, they're wicked sharp. Check out weebyknives.com. And we'd like to welcome the newest sponsor to the team, No BS Lures. Don't let the name fool you. There's more than just bait and lure. This company offers trapline tools and hardware, fur handling supplies, and the No BS traps. Check out nobslures.com. And last but not least, Hoosier Trapper Supply, home of the Top Dog Predator Bait, Jet Fuel Predator Lure. We offer a complete line of trapping baits and lures, deer scent, trapline tools and hardware, fur processing tools, and special package offers. Head over to HoosierTrapperSupply.com. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Trap House Podcast. We got two guests today. We got a fan favorite back. Charlie was a big hit on the show, and her dad, Jesse. Thanks for coming on and talking about trapping with us.
Oh, yeah. Always fun talking trapping.
Yeah. So we should probably recap a little bit of the last time. Charlie, you want to you remember what we talked about roughly?
About your mink season.
Mink season
Your
was
goals.
that?
You had a lofty goal.
Oh yeah. So last season I had a goal of 20 mink, which I successfully hit, and it was funny. It took me exactly 100 days, and I managed to catch my 20 mink. So it was definitely a lot of work, and there was a lot of like trial and error with things, but it was a lot of fun. So
Congratulations.
Yeah, ask her how many coons she caught trying to catch those 20.
what was it, like 78?
Yeah.
I didn't set a single coon trap last year, and they was like, man, but it was all
everywhere.
Yeah, it was like, because I go into it and like I thought like we were pretty good mink trappers, and then when you go for a goal like that, you don't realize how much like there's so many different little things. Like I feel like I learned so much about like my pocket sets and like what I need to do differently and stuff. So it was definitely a learning experience, but
It was neat too, as her, with it taking 100 days that she got into breeding season, and those mink acted way different.
oh yeah.
Those pockets, to where she was doing everything the exact same, and those mink were like a lot more aggressive when it came breeding season. So they're entering those pockets a lot different too. Yeah, it was a nice learning curve for her.
Yeah.
I watched the whole time, but
So were the mink ignoring the pockets, more aggressive towards the pockets?
At the end of the season, they were just really aggressive, and I feel like there was just a lot of times where I was just having trouble with like my placement with the like my trap in the pocket. Like I was just having a hard time figuring out, like there was a lot of times when they were like setting off traps and like we could just smell mink glands, and that's the worst feeling, is walking up to a pocket set and just smelling mink glands and there not being a mink in the water. So there was like, and sometimes they'd like pull out the carp and like different things. So
And we seen that. I feel that they were attacking the pocket a lot harder, but when we were seeing, remember, we were seeing a lot of the tracks them running the banks, look breeding, that they were just completely ignoring the water, to where early season it's like, with using her mink lure or just the smell of fish, they always got in the water.
Yeah.
Now they just kept moving because
and once they were in the water, that's when they got really aggressive.
Okay.
But just neat to see and I'm sure you guys see it with coyotes too. When it comes breeding season 2, they might act a little different,
Right.
But
And early season, I had trouble. Early season was pretty hard because it was so warm out last year. This year was completely different for mink. Like this year, if I had been able to trap, I would have been able like make my own sets. We would have I would have dominated mink this year because it was so good. Like we caught 18 mink this year. Well, he used some of my pockets, so I think that was the real magic. But it was and we didn't even try that hard for mink this year. Last year but it was so warm out that they were hunting in these fields and we could just not get them in the creeks. Like there were some great creeks that we've used years before and we just could not get them. So I think a big trick last year was moving creeks. Like I trapped so many different new places and it was just consistently moving my line and growing it was the key to success. But
how many traps were you running? I mean, I know it varied.
At first, I had 25, 20.
I'd say she probably averaged 18 to 25 or so,
Okay.
But we're out in farm country, so there's a lot of ditches that are great mink trapping, but all these farm fields are so tiled really good that you get an eighth of an inch of rain, that water's in the creek so fast that it just throws our traps off.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But then this year trapping, like she said, I went to most everywhere I caught mink this year. They were in the same creeks, and a lot of times you can reuse the same pocket sets, clean them out. But this year caught 18 and only 13 raccoons.
What's up with that?
I don't know. I don't know if she cleared.
Lucky.
I don't know if she cleared them out last year, or I don't know. We had a little colder year this year. Last fall was pretty warm, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm not complaining.
I would think that they probably did lay up more this year.
Yeah. No, I think that's most of it. Yeah, because a lot of those good areas, I think those mink or those coon just filter right back in after you catch them.
Right.
But,
so do you set where those culverts are, running into the creek? Do you set those too?
Yeah, like blind sets and stuff. Occasionally, there's a few creeks that she traps that she catches every year on blind sets because they're just real rocky, so you can't really get a good pocket set in. But they're just picture perfect blind sets.
Right.
But most of the time, she's backing off of those, 10 or 15 feet, and then just putting pockets in.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the smaller culverts we notice, you can see, especially once you get a snow, that the mink come out of the creek and go over it because they get nervous about coons being in there and stuff. So we notice a lot of times they get out of that, depending on the size of it. But
okay, that's a good observation.
Well, we should address the elephant in the room. How come you didn't trap this year?
So I'm a big soccer player. And I was in a tournament game and I fell and we found out that I partially tore my ACL and meniscus and I fractured my tibia. So the tibia was the real kicker because I was on crutches for 6 to 7 weeks, no weight bearing. And then I had a meniscus scoping surgery, which I was only on crutches for 2 days, but and then I went into physical therapy and my surgeon didn't clear me. He cleared me for trapping for the end of February. Right now, he's you should be able to start trapping again. well, trapping season's over, so that was unfortunate. But
Yeah.
it was still early season. I was able to go when I was on crutches. Like I would still go to the creeks and ride along, but like I wouldn't get in the creeks, but I just like walk up and
Well,
But
you checked a lot. You checked a lot of them, though.
yeah, but then once beaver season started, he was on his mission for 50 and he was hiking way down into the swamp every day. And I'm like, yeah, I cannot do that. I'm like,
Yeah. So are you pretty close to 100% recovery?
yeah, but yeah, I have 1 week left in physical therapy and then I'm pretty much cleared to do anything except the first year my surgeon wants me to wear a brace. I need a custom fitted brace and I haven't got that yet, but I'll be good for trapping season this year. So
Okay.
yeah. It was definitely hard to watch him do everything, but I got to do a lot of field handling. I got to skin my fair share of beavers and stuff. So
Okay.
Yeah, you were still active.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of a silly question, but I assume that's very, very painful.
Well, I'm really stubborn and I fell. So it was a tournament and Friday night I fell and like I knew my dad has never coddled me. Like if I fell, it's like you get back up. So I was fine and it was literally like 5 minutes into the game too. I was so mad. And like I fell before, like I just got back up and I actually went and took a corner kick and like I jumped and then I like my knee just kept buckling. I'm like, this isn't normal. So my coaches, they took me out and I was icing it. And that night we went to Walgreens and got a brace. The next day I'm like, you know what? I'm fine. I can play. So I tried to play and within like another 5 minutes, I felt the exact same way. And I was like, I remember I was laying there and I'm like, I cannot like, I looked over and I saw our goalie they took a knee and I was like, oh, I got to get up. And then it was like, so I kept, and then the game got tied and I was like, I need to go back out there. So I tried playing again and it was just a disaster. So they wouldn't let me play again. But I tried. Like it wasn't that bad, honestly. Like putting like I feel like it would have for what I did, like I feel like it should have hurt worse. But what the most pain out of like the whole thing was I walked on it for 2 weeks and I had a brace and like it wasn't that bad. Like it was uncomfortable, I'd say, but it wasn't that painful. But once I got off crutches, I walked for a few weeks without crutches before my surgery. And I didn't need a brace because like my knee was pretty stable and whatever. But this is kind of gross, but my ACL was getting caught on my meniscus tear and it was pulling. And I would like walk and sometimes it would get caught and I could feel it pull. And so I get like these really sharp pains and I'd like have to like grab something because it like hurt. And that was like the most painful thing is because I asked my surgeon, I was like, what is that? Like, why is it like, why do I keep getting this sharp pain? And he's like, oh, that's why we need to go in and do the surgery is because your ACL is going to tear that meniscus. And I was like, oh, that's fun. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm cringing over here just hearing the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Like my knees hurt.
yeah, but I'll be back to bed. I'll be 100% in no time. So
you're looking forward to soccer as well?
oh yeah, because I'm going into my freshman year. So this is my first year on the varsity team and I'm like really excited. That was like the real like kind of a bummer with it is that I've been training so hard to get on this like our school is really small and the girls team does not have that many girls. Like there was 5 seniors graduating this year, so like it's hard to get a team together as it is. So I'll have a spot on the team, but like I've worked so hard to get here and then it's like this happens and it's like well, but I'm excited and it was good timing because now I'll have plenty of time to get back to where I was before soccer season. So
Well, it's good.
Yep.
Glad it's
and get
healing
back
up.
and get back to trapping without crutches and
yeah, I can put my pocket sets back.
So were you able to give your dad advice on the mink trapping or was
Well, he learned a lot last year because he wasn't allowed to do anything. So he just like stood on the banks watching me and he's like some of these things he's like, I don't know about that, but it worked. So
she had a manner from Ohio Trappers Association. I don't know if you guys know Tim Ackerman. If you've seen the name, it's I mean, he catches over 100 every year, but he's got some like off the wall different ways of doing it, and that he don't share to everybody because he takes the approach like, hey, it took him a while to figure this out, so he wants everybody, hey, go figure it out, go do it, because everybody just looks for the quick, easy answer to everything, but he took her under his wing because she we have caught plenty of mink before all this that he was telling her, but he told her before last year all these few little tricks and said, do not tell your dad until he sees what you're doing.
And so I remember the first day, I was like, I made all these pocket sets and we like pulled into the one place and he's like, I'm calling Tim. Like, I just don't. And so he called Tim and he's like, is this right? Like, I don't know. And he's like, trust it. Trust the process. Trust it. My dad's like, I can't. I was like, it was really fun. I liked making him he was like stressing about it. I'm like, that was fun.
That's funny. So you set a goal, Jesse. It sounds like a 50 beaver.
Yeah, I do this about every other year. I go try to hit 50, and then the following year, then because it's a lot of work. These aren't like right off the road places. These are hiking way back in, and all the gear's heavy. The beavers are heavy, But fortunately, I work for myself. I run my own business, so I was able to take some time off and really hit it pretty hard. But we live in a pocket that is like, I feel like you could probably catch a couple if the weather cooperates. You could probably catch a few hundred if you had the time. Yeah. If you had the time and the drive to do it. But a lot of it's on private, or not private, but public ground that you got to draw tags. They only give so many tags, but you can't use four-wheelers. You can't use any, so it's a lot of work, You got to hike in, a third of a mile to a half a mile back in. So it's like, you want to set it really heavy, but then what's coming the next day, But yeah, it was a good year. Yeah, we caught 50 again. I think what's this, our third time trying to hit 50. But I went really hard because I want to hit 50, and then I was like, I got to get caught up on skinning and, because we just skin and then freeze. But then I'm like, I was debating on maybe trying to go after 100, but then the weather just is, I'm primarily a foothold guy. I don't run a lot of, conibear sets. So with the freeze and stuff, it just made my mind up for me. So once I hit 50, I didn't end up going back out. So
yeah.
So what's your primary set that you set up? You said foothold, but ground line or
caster mound set?
Caster mound.
On a drowning rod, and I use rebar. I didn't switch to fiberglass or anything, but we got a lot of hard bottoms around here that. What?
It was like the first time he tried to use a fiberglass rod was so funny because he could not get it in the ground. Like it was really funny because he got really frustrated.
Well, I'm like the type, I have a hard time switching anything when it works.
Right.
If that works. So yes, I hate carrying those rebar in. You get 4 or 5 of those; they're heavy. I found a trick. I just take black electrical tape with me, and I wrap that around, and that stabilizes them really good. And but those fiberglass, we got those hard bottoms. I just struggle to get them in.
Yeah.
To where the rebar, is a little more forgiving. That even if I can't get them in, I can pound them in. I rough them up on the one end with my hatchet and pound them in. But I use this new thing. I don't know if you guys ever seen. It's like that toggle.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
How guys use that to connect their beaver traps to the rods? Yeah. This was the first year I used these, and oh man, those are a lifesaver. They work really, really good.
So wait a minute, you're using that to connect the trap to the rod?
Yes. Yeah, just with the J hook onto my Hag's drowning bracket, on my rebar, and then that just slides through your swivel on your trap.
Right.
And then Oh, that thing, it works so good.
Okay, perfect.
I first seen it from that guy, Mike he has Bearded Man Beaver Lore.
Hmm.
He was telling me about him at the convention, and I did buy one, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know, and then I started tinkering around and I ordered all the parts, and they work so good.
Yeah.
Really good. So
I,
I don't have any traps attached. I tape those rods because I'm hiking in so far. And then, those traps are easy to carry in your basket. So yeah, it's a good system. Everything's heavy, but there'll be a day that I'm not gonna do this, but right
How long
now
are
I'm
how long are the rods you're using?
10 foot.
10-footers? Yeah.
10 foot, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try to design or not design, but I'm gonna try. I got a buddy that's a union welder and he does all my welding, but I want to try to, the conventional is you weld that big washer on the end, on the fan to pin it down
Yeah.
to stake the upper end. I want to try to do that, but turn it to the side and down a little bit so I can pound on the end of the rebar. You know what I mean?
right.
I just feel like that would be easier for us, but that's a system I use. They do really good.
Yeah.
I started trying those no BS beaver extremes.
Hmm.
The 2 coil, man, those are awesome traps.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Real pretty powerful, but I don't know if you've tried setting those. They're really easy to set.
What's the jaw spread on those?
I don't know if they're 8 or 8 1/4, somewhere in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But they're really nice, and that how he bakes that paint on there too is really nice.
Yeah. 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 He
You
makes a
know,
very nice trap.
yeah, I used to really enjoy like trap prep and stuff, and now it's like life just gets so busy that it's like if that's one step I can do is like not have to mess with those beaver footholds, then I'm all for it.
Right.
But
Yeah, I
yeah.
need to try some of those next year, I think.
Oh, they're really nice because I could just you're just getting the water and you could set them by hand, or I can anyway. They're not near as strong as like an MB 750. I had a bunch of those. Those are great traps, or the Bridger fives are pretty stout too. You know,
Right.
I mean the Duke four coils are really good beaver trap, but I don't know. I kind of like the bigger jaws. Yeah. Even though I target a front foot, but so.
Oh, okay. So
Oh yeah,
you go first.
I target. I go, and I've had so many guys are like, man, that's risky of them, twisting off and stuff. But no, I go right, and I like my trap in about 3-4 inches of water.
Okay.
Each bank's different, but in ideal, I'd only have it in about 4 inches of water.
Okay.
But
So roughly how far off the bank are you then? And I know it varies.
no, I go tight.
Okay.
I go tight. Kind of like how the same system, because when we coyote trap, we do the same thing you guys do. You got that jaw pretty tight.
Right.
But my beaver's the same way, and I get real like anal about stuff, but I always offset to the right. I don't know, some reason I always have a lot better luck off to the right. And occasionally I have to go to the left, if I can't get my rod in on the one side I need, but I always go to the right and always go tight to the bank, When I use a poker stick, guys using those to help them put their front feet down quicker, but and I do catch a lot on back foot feet too, like they come in, I don't know if they're coming in fast, but yeah, I just like setting for front because you miss a front, you still got the back set, the back.
Right.
And those no BS beaver traps, man, they make a great catch,
I'm assuming they're all pretty high.
Yeah, it catches them high. Yeah, it catches them. The only downfall this year, I did have a couple caught high that I had to, because I really enjoy putting up fur that, you had to cut those feet a little, my holes were a little bigger,
Okay.
to get that clean, which isn't no big deal because I pinch them all shut anyway, pull them off close to the edge as I can get them. But I did see that tear a few, you know, because it gets them so high. But I think that's why I had no ring outs, no nothing, you know, because it does catch them high. Kind of like her mink trap. She uses those Victor number 2s with the big square jaws, you know.
The old square jaws.
Yeah. Even though toward the end of last year, like she said, that some of those mink were coming in so hot, so fast that I don't know. I'm not sure, just because the jaws are so big and they're a little slower. So she did switch out talking to Tim, because Tim runs all Duke 1.5s, you know, because he can dig that pocket smaller and all that. So she did switch some out, you know, that last few weeks before she hit her goal. And I mean, I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but they did actually help her catch. You know, the last probably 4 or 5 last year she caught in Duke 1.5s.
They're a lot harder to set though.
Oh.
Like Victor, I could set by hand if I put enough force down. The Duke 1.5s, there's like
Yeah.
no.
They are. That's a stout trap. In fact, we were using some on muskrats, and I actually took a torch to the springs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does that work pretty good?
It does. It does.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah. It's time consuming to do that. Yeah. And if you know you're only going to use them for, you know, muskrat or mink, you know, obviously you probably don't want to do it on your coon traps necessarily, but it works good. So.
Yeah, because she had a lot. Those Victor number 2s are real good for mink, catches them high, you know.
Right.
She caught almost 80 coons last year, but she probably had that many pullouts on those coon, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Which isn't bad, but you know, it's not like that deters them from ever coming back around.
Especially, you know, when they take my fish too.
They are gluttons and they don't care. So.
No, they are.
Like even the ones we catch, every time you can always see they're eating while they're sitting there, and it's like.
And then you catch a mink, you get a big buck mink, and that bait's still in the same exact spot as it was the night before.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. Like mink trapping is so much better. Like when you catch a mink, because it's like 1, you caught a mink. 2, the set is in perfect condition, like nothing, you don't have to touch it, just reset the trap, and like, that's good.
And I have her use rotors, you know, brake rotors, just because a lot of those cricks are so hard to pound stakes and stuff. So she uses those. So at least with the coons, they do make a mess, but they typically get, you know, maybe 10, 12 foot away, you know, from the pocket. You know, they'll pull that rotor a little bit. But yeah, I was surprised last year she caught in the same pocket about a week apart. She caught two otters.
Yeah, there's this river that comes, and then there's a bridge, and the crick comes right out of the river, and it's always a great spot for mink. And there's a day, and it was like a great day that what did I had something after school. I was doing this like academic, it's called Prep Bowl, it's like a trivia thing, and I was doing that after school. So my dad checked part of my line for me, and I caught one mink, so he like waited, and then I still had a few sets after that to check. So we come up to the first spot, and there was a mink there. Like he acted like he forgot to check that one just so I could walk up on it. And so
I wasn't allowed to take it out. So
yeah, so I got it and reset the trap and whatever. We went to the spot where the river was, and I walk up, and there's an otter sitting there. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, this is crazy. Like, a live otter's right there. And then walk farther down the creek. Like, the otter's here. I walk down here, and there's a mink. And then I walk down here, and there was a mink in my blind set. So I caught 3 mink and my first otter in the same day.
Oh
like,
my
it was
gosh.
like, it was the craziest. Like, that was honestly, like, one of my best days, like, funnest days trapping, because it was all at the same spot. And
yeah, those 3 sets, the mink, otter, and mink, all were probably about 40 foot apart. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was still alive, and of course the season wasn't in, so I had to let it go.
Oh no.
That was fun to watch too. I mean,
Did you film it?
She did, actually. I do have it on my phone.
I was laughing.
Yeah, it was tough to get wrangled up, but the problem is I couldn't get the trap because it was a front foot catch, and it was in one of those Victor number twos on a brake rotor, and it didn't. I don't know if it just like suctioned to the mud or something, but
Well, that's
he didn't move it.
Huh.
You know,
I mean, that's a powerful animal. So you would have
yeah.
thought, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like a 25-pound male. It was probably like I don't know if it was a male or female, but it was probably like 18, 20 pounds. Could have been an adult female,
Right.
Or a young male, but they're still strong,
Right.
yeah. Their whole body is just muscle.
Uh-huh. And then it was about a week later, that same set, she had caught another otter, but must have caught it early, and then the water came up like 18 inches because where that otter was in the water before, there was only like 4 or 5 inches. Well, the creek flooded that night. So when we went to check, we couldn't even see the trap. And it was like a day or two till she could get in there, and that otter was already there. So we had to turn it in. But
Okay. So, are you guys in a legal otter county?
yeah, we can catch 3.
Okay.
We normally catch a couple a year,
Okay. Okay.
during beaver season, but those ones happen to be about a month early.
I got you.
Then
Okay.
I had to pull the sets because we're like, we can't keep catching otters, but it's a good mink spot.
Yeah, that's what Marty, our Trumbull County game warden, super nice guy, but he's like, if you keep catching them, you should probably pull that trap. Like you're gonna tell Charlie she can't trap that spot. It's usually good for what, two, 3, 4 mink a year. I think we caught 3 there this year. We caught a double there this year too. Yeah, it's a good spot.
It's kind of a shame on those otters. Obviously it's dead. It gets turned in. And here in Indiana, prior to us having a season, which started in 2015, all those otters just got turned into the state, and they do studies on them or whatever. But still, it seems like just an incredible waste of a resource. All those skins, So I mean, I know some of them were tanned for educational purposes, but not hundreds.
We did one for local education. I don't even know, up at Ponmatooning Lake, they didn't have an otter pound, so they reached out to me to see if I would skin it out and send it off.
It was like an early season one. It wasn't even that nice, and it's like, geez, my otters are better than this.
Well, he said he was appreciative because he couldn't get to it right away, so we brought it home and threw it in the freezer.
Okay.
So he was real grateful that we did that. Most guys just throw them outside and they get mad and don't do anything. Well, you hate to see it go to waste.
Right. Right.
But we have some good otter laws though. I mean, it's our beaver season comes in the day after Christmas and runs till the end of February, but we can catch 3, so it's in the whole season. Like if you've ever seen like Pennsylvania's laws they're terrible. Like they get a longer season. They get a 3 months beaver season, but they have to be 15 feet away from huts and dams and all that stuff. And then they get like a 9 or 10 day otter season, like mid January, and they only get like 10 combined traps or something. So I'm like, I don't know. It just seems silly. Like these guys who are beaver trapping for 3 months are still catching otters, just opening up the whole season, I don't know. It just seems silly, but
we're very trapper friendly in Indiana. I mean overall, so we can do basically whatever we want to catch a beaver. The season comes in November 15th and goes out March 15th.
Oh wow!
Our otter season runs consecutively that entire time too. So November 15th through March 15th, or until the quota's met, which our statewide quota is 750, which they won't even reach this year, is my guess, unless it really comes on here in the last part of the season. Mainly just because the weather has been so bad.
Yeah,
stuff's froze up, and so we have a long season.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what our harvest is this year too. We just went to this banquet, this deer hunting big buck contest they have at her high school for all the local schools, and we set up a OSTA trapping table with all the furs and stuff, and talking to Marty, the game warden, and he said he only tagged 2 otters this year. Now they can take them to other locations and physically go there, but he normally checks in a couple dozen a year. But he goes, it locked up pretty early here this year. So I mean, we're fortunate because we're in a good fur pocket for everything, but
yeah, we live right by like a big swamp, and so there's all these creeks for mink, and then like farm fields and stuff for coyotes. Like it's just good for everything.
Before the thermals came in,
yeah,
I'm sure everybody's dealing with that issue, but
yeah.
Which, hey, to each your own, but
right. I got to ask. So, is the big buck thing? Was that a school event, or is that just happened to be at the school?
It's like a few of our cops started it, and like our cop at our school, like I love him. Like we talk to him all the time, and I talk to him about hunting and trapping. And I don't even think he hunts; like he just fishes and stuff. But around COVID, they started this contest for like because they wanted to get the families together and stuff because like they couldn't do anything. So it originally started during COVID. Just like you sign up and then you turn in like a form and like you turn in they have like a scoring thing, a guy that comes and scores your bucks, and then they have even like a weight competition. Like there's like so many different categories that you can win, and they have like all these like donations and stuff that everybody goes home with something. So it's a really cool thing. But I think there was like 3 or 4 schools in it, but each year they're like adding more schools to it and stuff. And this year it just happened to be at my school. And I think it was the year before too, but I actually signed up this year because this summer I bought my first bow, because I have always said that I don't want to shoot a deer until I can pull back a compound, and I want to shoot my first deer with a compound bow. And so I bought one this summer, and then I only went out once because I was on crutches like the main part of deer season. So, but I did crutch out to my blonde once, and I didn't get anything, but so I signed up for this year, and then the cop was like, hey, you should come and like set up a table or something. And so they have like Ducks Unlimited there. They have like just like a few tables about like outdoors things. So it's a really cool like thing that they're doing, and like just to get all these people more interested in the outdoors, and they have different tables about the different things to get more people exposed. And there was like girls from my school that like don't even like hunt or trap or anything, but the cop was like, hey, you should stop out and just like come by. And so they did, and just like it was cool for them to get exposed to it. So yeah, it's a really cool thing.
That is cool.
That is, yeah, that's very cool. I'm assuming you guys are in a pretty rural area then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're way out in farm country.
Yeah.
So I was sitting here thinking, jumping back to a beaver question. You said you were hugging the bank. How your caster mounts? How close are those to the edge?
I'd probably say like 3 or 4 inches. I don't get too. Okay. I don't put them way back or anything. No, because I don't want them. I don't block them down a lot. Like I listen to that guy that you guys have on. What's that real good beaver trapper that you guys have? He's got the big mustache. He does nuisance.
Morlock.
Yeah, I listen to him. He's a real good trapper, But just cool seeing guys doing it different,
Right.
But I keep it fairly close because I don't want them to fully get out of the water. I mean, they want to because they want to destroy that mound, but I like to try to keep them right there, right on the edge,
Yeah.
So, but I do stuff like kind of analytical. I'm a trim carpenter by trade, so like it's all like the little details and everything that that has to be perfect. Like if you try to play the wind, like we got a big river system with swamps and stuff, but like if you can play the wind, then I mean obviously you can make your caster mount size of a baseball and it's gonna work.
Right.
But if you don't got the wind in your direction, I make them a lot bigger. So that plays into it. I mean, I like a big mound if I can, but like I said, if you get usually in those rivers that those thermals all drop down in there, and they're gonna smell it no matter what. But there are different cases of different size, mounds I like to make and stuff. So
Right.
always make sure I always do like after you make everything, then you put your beaver lure on it. I like a heavy caster based. I mean, I
Right.
make my own beaver lure, but it's like mainly all caster. I mean, there's some other stuff in it, but you got to touch of water with that caster. I don't know. You guys probably know that, but I don't. I know a buddy of mine went with us, and he's like, "Huh, I think I do remember you doing it." But as soon as you touch it, you just see, you want that scent just to get in that water.
Yes, it just floats right on top and just starts dispersing. Yeah.
Yep, yep. It's the same thing with her pocket sets when she puts that carp in the back of that pocket set. Don't have that completely out of the water. Have it touch in the water, because you touch that carp this year and part of last year. This year I used all walleye heads.
Last year I loved the walleye heads because it was so easy to push back in. Like, because I'd touch water with it, oils would go everywhere. I wouldn't say it's as oily as the carp is, but it's a lot.
Pretty oily.
It is, but the carp is really.
The carp smell a lot worse.
Yeah. It's like.
But
the walleye heads are always nice to shove back in the pockets. They stay in there.
I gotta ask, so you cutting the cheeks out of those walleye heads?
Well, we don't really go fishing. We know some guys that run up to Lake Erie and fishing.
I got
but
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
when we get all the walleye heads, the cheeks are gone.
Yeah,
but
that's
when you got those walleye heads or carp in that pocket, you should see all those oils coming out of that pocket.
Right.
But. And that's what we use. We used bluegill for a few years, and we caught plenty of mink, but we weren't seeing that. And we have seen our numbers go way up when you get a more oily fish.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
So, Charlie, what about your mink lure? How often are you using that?
I feel like I haven't done anything. I don't even know if I made any, but I had a bunch of it. But I use it a lot, but I think last year I was so go with my pocket sets that I was doing not the bare minimum, but I was trying to go faster. So I didn't use it as often, but definitely I use it with high banks. That is my big thing, is because I feel I don't know, I just get weird that I think they're gonna run up and not smell it. So I always if they're out of water, so then I always put it above my pocket and that, or even rivers and stuff sometimes. But I haven't used it as much, but it's been because I said last year I was so go, and it was fast, and before it got dark, it was always a big rush to get all my traps checked and stuff, especially when you have so many coons slowing you down.
Yeah.
But this year I didn't get to use it much, but I like making it. That's my favorite part. Using it's fun. It's fun to use it and then see make it and then see stuff caught off of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I don't know, it's just fun to make it. And I have crawfish in my mink lure, and I love catching crawfish. It's so fun. That's
Yeah.
I love going to the creeks and catching it.
That's great.
But yeah, there's certain cases that it's not going to hurt anything using it, but there's certain cases that you're not going to really benefit, probably, especially when you got you see all that oil just piling out of that pocket set. But we've had cases, because there's been snow, that they just run, they're about 18 inches, 2 foot above your pocket, and they just never stopped, and then drizzle that from the top down, and that just gets them to stop, and then they come down and investigate, so there's cases that yes, I think that it's gonna really help, but
yeah.
Now my coon lure, that's a different story. I use my coon lure on every trap, every dog proof I ever use, and it's so fun because I catch so much. Coons are so fun. Fun when they're fun to trap when you're trying to catch them. When you're not trying, it's you hate them. But it was funny last year at the beginning of the season. My dad goes, "You're gonna hate coons by the end of the season."
Well, Tim too.
Yeah, because I've always said that. I'm I like coon trapping. It's fun, And then him and Tim and everybody's "You're gonna hate coons by the end." I did.
So here's a challenge. Here's a challenge for you. come up with a mink attractant that repels raccoons.
Yeah, that would be a seller. Like
That would be like a coyote lure that doesn't attract domestic dogs.
Yeah,
didn't
good
happen.
luck with that. No.
Yeah. Speaking of coyotes, I did see that you ended up catching one on jet fuel.
I did. That was
last
like
year.
that was another cool thing. Is it was the first day of mink season. I think I had the coyote sets a few days before that, and my dad was like over, and it was like it's one of our like best spots for coyotes. Like there's a rock in a field, and like this big rock, and it's like always like it's a coyote magnet. Like every year we catch them, but sometimes when it's corn, we don't set there, like because we just can't. So then we go over in the field net. There's like a tractor path, and we always catch them over there too. It's like in the same area. So he was on one side setting his trap, and I was over here, and I like wouldn't let him come near me. I'm like, stop! I'm doing it. And so I had my jet fuel.
She had it. She had her GoPro. She videotaped, had it on a little tripod, so there was proof that I didn't touch anything. I didn't pound steak. I didn't bed. I didn't do anything to it.
I have my top dog, my jet fuel, and then the next day, the day I set a bunch of mink traps, and the next day I ended up catching a mink for like the first day of mink season, and I caught my first coyote. So that was a really cool day too.
Yeah.
But she's caught it. She's been a part of a lot of them.
Yeah,
You know,
I feel like I watched, like I've done so much like that I could do it with my eyes closed. Like I mean, now I'm a little rusty, but like
Right.
I've seen it so often, and then I'd help and like stuff like that. But this was my first one where I wouldn't let him like, I'm like, no, this is mine. Let me do it, and then I did it. It was really cool. So
You'll remember those days the rest of your life. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's crazy how those will stick in your mind. You know, just
Oh yeah.
What's
Yeah.
so what do you guys have goals for next year, or just being out there in general is good enough?
mine, I kind of want to do like this is what I was gonna do this year, which I didn't really get to do part of it. But like I want to everything I catch, I want to do the whole process with it. So if that means that I don't do as much like catching like numbers, but like I catch a mink, then I want to go home and skin it and flesh it and put it up. Because like I do a lot of it. I do a lot of fur handling, but I feel like well, not fleshing. I mean for like beaver fleshing, that's like I don't like that. But like I do a lot of like fur handling and stuff, but it's never like necessarily my own. Like it just kind of gets like whatever, but I kind of want to do that for like so I can be like, yep, I put this muskrat up, I made the set, and so that's my thing. And when he goes back, well, he has a thing, but he's gonna hike all back into these places, and I want to make like different sets along the way because like I'm a pretty strict like mink, and like I have a thing against muskrats. I don't know why, but I just don't like muskrat trapping. Like I don't know why, I just do. So that's why I want to go back and like while he's doing his goal, then I'm gonna like make my sets along the way. So.
No, but I was gonna go back after the weather got bad, and I realized I wasn't gonna be able to get to close to 100. I'm like, you know what? All I need is a couple. I got a few spots in the swamp that it's a long ways in, and I'm gonna because I broke my record size wise this year. I caught over a 66 pounder.
that's huge.
That's a massive.
On a foot front right foot. Like, see, I like when I go up. I mean, any beaver's nice, whether it's back foot, whatever, but I like when I always go after right front foot. So when I pull them up out, I always see what I caught, and it's always just a little more gratifying when it's the right front foot,
Right.
and that's what that 66.1 it was 66.1, but it was right front foot, And then I caught the mate too. That was a female, and the mate was like 61 pounds. But I have a few spots, because beavers just keep growing as with age,
Sure.
to a certain point. So I'm going to have a quest for a 70 pounder that I want to catch on a foothold on a drowning rig, And then as soon as I break 70, it's getting a full mount. I debated on mounting this one because the tail was just so big and there was like no bite marks in it. It was just pristine beaver. But then I'm like, I don't know. I think I
At
can do
first,
bigger.
it used to be 60, but then he caught a 60 pounder. He's like, I don't
Well,
know.
I'm glad I didn't because I caught over three 60 pounders this year. But we're in an area, we got a lot of beavers, but you catch some 60s, but you're not going to catch, they're not around every corner,
Right.
We have friends in Wisconsin, and they catch so many huge beavers. It's crazy.
Yeah, they catch 70 pounders every year, but
Yeah.
but here a 70 pounder I think is a true trophy. You see pictures like buddies or people like, oh, I caught a 72 pounder, and I'm like, I'm willing to put money that's not a 72 pounder. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
We hear
Oh,
those
here's a
fish stories every day.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like the 60-pound coyote or the 30-pound
Oh,
raccoon.
I know.
Put it on the scale. Let's see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know as of now, because after a year of catching a lot of beavers, I'm always going to catch 30 or 40 a year, but I'm going to try to go after a 70 pounder, just hike even farther in, just with a couple footholds, but we'll see. That'll probably change, so it's too early, the pile of beaver furs are still sitting here. So
Yeah.
it's a little early to make goals, but we got an invitation to go up to northern Maine to Fisher and Martin trap, but I mean we've been able to go any year. Yeah, she could bear trap on the same lease, but it's just trying to work out the logistics and
Right.
Yeah.
That may have to wait until she's in college or because you're not going to drive up there for a week. You're going to need to drive up for multiple weeks, and
Right.
Hey, I can keep up with my work. I think I'd be fine.
But-
I'm a smart kid. I can do it.
I'll be dropping out of high school just to go crap.
I think you could do it.
Yeah,
Well, I don't have a high school diploma, but look at this bear I caught.
Well, there you go.
You said something about mounting that beaver. I wouldn't worry too much about the tail because they're usually fake.
Well, I know, but you can wouldn't you? Like, do you guys mount beavers or no?
We do. You'd have to probably find somebody that's willing to do a cast of the original tail and
Go that route.
and go that route. If you want,
No,
if you want the replica
like
of the tail that's on the beaver that you caught.
so what would you like if I brought that beaver out to you guys? What would you do? Just put any tail on that, like the
They make you buy them. They're just different sizes.
They've got really big ones.
They got big ones, small ones. Some of them are kind of longer. The smaller ones are longer.
Are they already painted and stuff, or do you have to paint them?
They're black.
They're black.
And they're like a rubbery type substance. And you rub some dirt and mud on there, and it kind of gives it that.
Yeah. So you couldn't, if I had like a bite mark in it, you couldn't cut that to mimic that, or
You could.
or do you normally?
Yeah, you could.
You could.
No one's ever asked that I know of.
No.
But
We don't do a lot of them. Well, for one thing, they're pretty expensive to do. But
all right, we're talking. I got one right here. Hold on.
oh yeah,
Well, you guys are only about 5 hours. I've actually been out to your shop a couple times, but years and years ago. But
okay.
if we hit 70, because I don't really know anybody that mounts beavers around here, so
Might have to back up, Charlie. This has got a big old.
This one was
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, that's a cool mount.
and
I
that
don't know if you can see.
I mean, you can see it's got a big tail on it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I want to say this was in almost 60.
yeah. That 66 pounder this year was just pristine, like no bite mark. It was really,
It's heavy. I'm putting it down.
Yeah.
and I'm very surprised. Like if you see that picture I post on that catch circle, it's like I get all these I caught 13 beavers this year that stretched 70 inches or bigger. So I caught a lot of big beavers, and most of them have no bite marks in.
Well, that's
Like,
unusual.
It is. Now I got a few that have some, but I'd say probably like 8 out of the 13 70-inch or bigger have no bite marks, just perfect beavers.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange to me. And then you get all these little ones that have a bunch of bite marks and
Yeah. Yeah. So
nothing's nothing's more frustrating, like skin it out and you're fleshing it. You have no clue there's bite marks, and then you flesh it all the way down, and you're like 8 inches from the base of the tail, and there opens up like 3 bite marks. I'm like,
I'm sure you've seen them before, but we'll have one, somebody will bring in to get tanned or whatever, and it'll literally look like Swiss cheese. The entire beaver, I mean, like it got shot with double op buck or something. I mean, just crazy. I mean, they're just brutal to each other.
Yeah, I've caught some that have had BBs in them too from the duck hunters.
Yeah, duck hunters or whatever.
Yeah. But
60 is my biggest beaver, and I snared it.
Yeah.
Which
really?
I like snaring beaver. I think that's really cool because you always talk about all that heavy gear. I think it's cool. You can go in there with like just the basic bare minimum. Little here's this cable, and snag one. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And you can do it here. You can do it up on the banks. You don't even have to be in the water if you. So.
Yeah, that's neat. That's something that I've never really got into, snaring. But I don't know. You might be getting a 70-pounder next year. We'll bring it out for you.
Okay. All right.
Well, I know they're expensive, so.
So when are you going to sell your fur, or what's your plans?
We go to the OSTA puts on a couple fur auctions every year, and we have one coming up March 8th in Kidron, Ohio, and it actually attracts a lot of novelty buyers, and Xander's always there. He's one of the bigger ones that comes there, but a couple other big buyers. It's an awesome sale.
Yeah.
I like the fur auction. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like to see all the fur and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, last year it was. I know the beaver prices have dropped tremendously.
He got the best, the highest paid beavers last year. His big beavers were the highest of the auction.
Yeah, I had seven good beavers over 70 inches, and they brought $71 each.
Oh my gosh,
that's awesome!
Well, that's just buyers just running them up, because I had talked to Xander a couple weeks ago, and I asked, and he's like, "What'd you get last year?" Because he's like, they're going to be about half of what they were last year. I'm like, well, I got 71 last year. He goes, well, that was probably $15 more than they're worth. They weren't worth that. But he looked at them, and they were like, when they're that nice, like no bite marks and stuff, he goes, those ones aren't going to the Hatter market.
Yeah.
He's got buyers that he knows right off the bat that where those beavers are going. But it's a good time. Like, you're not doing it for the money,
Right.
I like actually the price comes down because we got to go in October every year to Akron, our regional meeting to draw permits to trap public land in Ohio. You got to get permits for beaver and otter anyway. And, like last year, the number, like there was a lot, over 100 guys. This year, there's about 75 guys, so you see that slow taper when the money goes away, that the guys go away. So,
yeah,
I don't mind the price coming up, I mean, a $35 beaver's good. I hate but we sold a bunch 3-4 years ago. They were like $17-$18 for those big beavers.
But. Right. Which is way more typical in the scheme of things over the years.
Yeah.
I think beavers last year in the scheme of things were higher than they've ever been.
Yeah.
Since I've been around this. I mean, when they're buying green, just skinned frozen beavers for $30 and $40, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I
could never bring myself to sell green beavers.
I love putting beavers up so much. Auction and they just have like a beaver. It's like weird.
Yeah, but last year at the auction, guys, I think they thawed them out, but they had a couple beaver on carcass still, and they sold.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Our first sale, well, the one we're part of, Chapter 7B Fur Takers, is this Saturday. Then Sunday, we got Groenwald coming here at the shop to buy in the parking lot. So be kind of nice to kind of see what the market's doing, right?
Yeah.
Is your first sale, do you just attract a bunch of different buyers, or?
Yeah, it's kind of some of the same ones from over the years, and then But those novelty buyers that you guys mentioned, those guys are important because
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
that's, slacking on the market like red foxes and gray foxes, if there's any around, or even mink or possums, those guys will really push the price of that stuff up.
Oh, absolutely.
Last year, one of our friends, he's gonna make, what is it, like a mink coat or blanket or something.
He's making a beaver like king size comforter, but he's trimming it with mink.
And so he bought all my mink, and I got $20 a piece for my mink last year.
There you go. I mean, that's
awesome.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's very good.
All 20?
Well, I had one that went bad.
Two
that went bad, and then one I ended up getting mounted, and it's a really cool mount. It's like on a beaver chewed stick and stuff. I have it in my room. It's pretty cool.
My dad said he wanted one tanned. Well, I knew I wanted to get one full mount for her.
It was my 17th mink, which the picture of that mink was actually on the Buckeye Trapper, which is like the Ohio magazine. So it was kind of cool that it was like that's the one that got mounted.
Yeah. But me and my wife were like, yeah, that'd be cool to get one mounted for her. So then she knows that came from her goal of 20 that year, Right. So I'm like, let's just throw it in the freezer. That's Grandpa's. That we'll skin out some other time because he wanted one, And I took it and got it mounted, but and surprised her. Yeah, that was number 17, and just so happened that Rich Fowler, the editor of the Buckeye Trapper, he'll ask for pictures and says send me over pictures when you can, so he can plug them in the magazine when he needs. Right. And that mink that I got mounted happened to be the one that made the cover of Buckeye Trapper too.
And I had an article in that one, so I was like
full circle.
Yeah, well,
you got that one framed in the room.
Yeah, so she ended up selling 17 last year. She had 2 go bad because a real good time to catch minks right before heavy rain, flooding, and stuff. So you catch those and everything. Our creeks will come up 24, 30 inches.
It's so bad. It's like scary because then it gets so fast, and it's like,
and it takes a week to come down. So so by the time it came down, those must have got caught right before the flood, and they were slipping and everything before. So
right.
But we couldn't do anything with them.
Yeah, pretty hard to salvage those.
Oh yeah.
So Charlie, you're looking at colleges yet?
No, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I have I wanted to be a wildlife biologist forever. Like, that was like my thing. And then I went into like, I really like biology, but then I'm like, it would be really cool because my grandpa was in a bad tractor accident and he had like a lot of bad experiences with like healthcare and hospitals and stuff. So I'm like, what? I want to be a nurse. And then I'm in between 2 things, between being a nurse practitioner, and then I want to go into like cardiology if I end up doing that, which is like heart, because I love the heart. Like, I don't know, it's so cool. Like, I have all these anatomy books I got for like Christmas and stuff, and like I love the heart. I don't know, it's just like so cool. Mm-hmm. But then we went to the Ohio State the convention, and there's our biologist was there, and she was doing these things about like she was scanning the animals and like taking out the important things that they use for studies and stuff. And she had like a pregnant otter and stuff, and I like ran up there because I wanted to see it, and like I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And she's like, yeah, you got biologist, and you like, people were like, ew, that's gross. I'm like, no, I need to go see that. Like, that's so cool. And so then that like made me like, oh, this is like the coolest job ever. Like, you could get in, like, be involved in like trapping and stuff, because I always love that part of trapping, is like going through and like looking at like the inside, like I don't know, I just think that's so cool with like trapping and like the whole process of it, and like looking at the behaviors of the animals. So then I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a nurse. But then I saw her and like did that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing at this point, because it's so cool. Like, I love it.
I still don't know what I'm going to do with my life.
You don't have to know when you're your age. That's for sure. Well, the main thing is you've got all those interests and that, and they're all kind of in the same area, really.
Yeah, so it's like biology. That's just my thing. It's like, do I want to like go into human, or do I just want to stay in like the outdoors? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely trapping something that'll always like stick with me. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's like last year. We live about 5 miles from the PA border, so we trap PA and Ohio.
Okay.
So like I was doing this new barnuminium job out in PA, and they had a beaver problem. This was last March, and trapped the beavers. It caught this big female, and her stomach was just huge. Like you could tell she's pregnant, but they had it flooded. The farmer couldn't get back to their back field and stuff, so brought it back, skinned it out, and I'm like, here, we're gonna take it out back because
I forced him to cut open
I
that
didn't do
beaver.
it, you did it.
Yeah, I was like, I want to cut open this beaver, and he's like, I'm not. He's like, that's gross.
Well, I'm like, I don't know. I knew that it was pregnant. I don't need to see it.
And I'm like, no, we're doing it. So we drove back on the 4-wheeler, and it was like it started to rain, and I'm like, no, I need to do this. So I cut it open and was like looking at it. It was so cool. Like it's just like he caught this beaver. Like I thought it was like really cool. But
yeah,
it started like raining, and I'm still looking at these like little beavers.
It had like four beaver babies in it,
Right.
Yeah.
So he actually caught 5. So he caught 5 beavers in one.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that was really cool. I like that.
Was big beaver.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's been great to catch up with you guys. I'm
Oh,
glad
yeah.
the time frame. I know it was last minute, so I was wondering. So I'm glad.
Oh, yeah,
it worked
no.
out.
Did you guys go into? Yeah. Well, before we wrap this up, you guys going to any conventions this upcoming summer or plan to?
yeah, we're definitely going to the OSTA one. It's actually only about an hour from the house here, but we're really tossing around. We're probably going to go to the NTA too down in Virginia.
Yeah.
It's only about a 5-hour trip, so we like going out to the PA one too. They put on a good convention, but it's a long ways off too. I think it's a 4.5 hour, but
Yeah.
probably just
I think we could do it.
probably just the NTA, and the OSTA one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, certainly we'll see. I don't know if we'll make the OSTA. We always have a conflict because of the Trappers College, but we'll definitely be at the NTA. And if you do happen to make it to the Pennsylvania, we'll actually be there, or I'll be there for sure.
yep.
They asked me to do a demo, and that'll be the first Pennsylvania we've been to in a long
Years,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but
And I know the Pennsylvania next year. Next summer it's in Crawford County, which is only like 25 minutes into PA. So
Okay.
it's about 40 minutes from us, but that'll be a good one too. I like when they're close.
yeah, exactly. So, well, in the NTA in 26,
Is it out by you guys?
it will be in Indiana.
Yeah.
On
that'll
the eastern side of Indiana. So that's whatever time it takes you to cross Ohio's where, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Because I think you guys are about 5 hours from us, so
Okay.
it's not terrible. Yeah, we'll have to try. We'll have to see what the soccer schedule is, because that when you wanted Charlie to come out and do a demo at you guys' rendezvous, and I'm like, gosh, she can't. She's got a soccer tournament, and then that's a tournament. She blew her knee out.
Oh,
So
man.
she could have just skipped it and came and did her demo.
Yeah.
Yep. See, you would have been able to trap all season.
So we'll have to see how her varsity schedule goes, but if it's clear, then maybe we can even come out to you guys'
Yeah.
rendezvous.
Yeah, I hope so.
Last Saturday in September.
Yep.
When it always is. So.
Perfect.
Well, good deal. Well,
Yeah.
we'll let you go, and thanks again. This has been good.
Yeah,
That's a
no
good one.
problem.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate it.
Charlie.
Yep.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
All right. Take care.